build that relationship that will then help shape how you two can work together. You two people or a group of people can work together. It really is that simple. Unfortunately, people just don't slow down long enough to do the work.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Iconic Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Chaitra Vedalapalli, and president of Women in Cloud. This podcast is for founders, executives, investors, and change makers who are done playing small and ready to lead movements that actually matter. Each week, we don't just talk about big ideas, we unpack lived experiences, pivotal moments, and the real system behind leadership that democratize access and create lasting change. Because here's what I believe: prosperity should be the default, not the exception. Together, we are here to democratize intelligence, elevate how you lead, and shape the next 50 years of inclusive innovation. Today, I am joined by Lani Phillips, and she's a dear friend of mine and also founder and CEO of Full Circle Leadership Group. And if you care about leading effectively in an AI accelerated world, this conversation is for you. Lani Phillips is globally recognized leadership expert who helps organizations balance human judgment, trust, and accountability with the speed of intelligence. A 26-year Microsoft veteran, she held senior executive roles and led large-scale business transformation while building award-winning teams. But here's what matters more than the numbers. Lani equips leaders with mindset and capabilities needed to navigate disruption, complexity, and rapid technological change. Her full circle leadership framework serves as an operating system for leaders, emphasizing responsibility and adaptability at scale. Now, what pulled me into this conversation isn't just what Lani built, it's how she carried the weight of scale, influence, and legacy at its group. So, Lani, welcome to the Iconic Leadership Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about our conversation today.
Yeah, so what was the last decision you made before you joining the call today?
The last decision I made is what am I going to do when I hang up with you?
Okay. I love
I've had such a full week. Mama need a break. So I'm going to do some self-care.
Amazing, amazing. Lani, you spent over 25 years at Microsoft leading high-performing teams and driving a $50 billion in revenue. Now, take me back to that early leadership journey. What shaped how you lead today?
What shaped how I lead today is really based on how I saw other people lead. I had some great experiences and I borrow a little bit from them. And then I had some not so great experiences that I vowed that I would never do. But the biggest challenge that I face is I didn't see people that look like me. So
Hmm.
it was really about me trying to define what my leadership style was going to be, because what I recognized is patterning myself after everyone else was not working as well for me because I showed up in the world differently. And the one thing that I led with initially was drive for results. I really wanted to be about getting the results, making sure people felt like I was a woman who wasn't an empty suit. I had a brain in my head. And the thing that I did not lead with as much was the people side. And that was the side that was truly authentic to who I am. And that was something that I settled into more. And I realized the importance of people and bringing the humanity back to leadership while also creating high performing teams that drive results. So for me, it's about both. But it is something that I had to learn over time because I was too busy trying to see what formula others were using. And I tried to mirror that, and it didn't work as well for me.
That is fascinating. You talked about leadership style.
Yeah.
What type of style did you notice and what type of style did you develop?
Yes, I would say the style that I noticed was more command and control. So that was the style that I had mirrored in front of me. The style I settled into was more adaptive. I recognized that no one size fits all, that I had to meet every situation, meet people where they were, and I had to adapt my style to get the best out of them. I had to learn that it wasn't about me and it wasn't about me controlling the situation. It was about me seeking to understand where the individual was and how I could empower and inspire them to want to go and accomplish the goal.
Give me an example of adaptive leadership versus command and control leadership.
Sure. Command and control. I knew that quite well because I was in sales. I carried the number, and there was significant accountability around pipeline management, ensuring that your deals landed when you forecasted them to land. And in the event that someone did not meet expectations to land a deal, command and control looks like you're sitting down, you're having to defend the reason why something did not happen. They're constantly checking in to see just how strong the opportunity is. And really, in reality, it can be perceived as we're trying to make you crack and say, I don't know. But
Mm.
that command and control is I'm going to make sure that I instill enough fear in you that you never do this again. And I would say adaptive leadership looks like still you can have strong opinion about making sure that if we're going to call a deal, ensure the deal comes in. But your style is more to first seek to understand what caused the miss, to ask more questions without making such firm statements. Because sometimes there really are things that are outside a person's control. So it's first to understand what blockers are there, still get clear on what the expectations are and where the accountability lies, but it's more of a partnership in regards to your responsibilities to understand what the blockers are and participate in helping to remove blockers to ensure the person can be successful going forward. That's the difference.
I love the example because it allows people to understand the difference. But was there a belief that you had to shift inside yourself to move from command and control to adaptive leadership?
Yes, because I got on the downside of the command and control. And
Mm.
when you are in a situation where I had a year where we had a tough year, and I
Mhm.
sat in the room and had the conversations where they were salt and peppering me with all the questions, why the deals didn't come up, why the mess, I felt like I didn't matter. And it was just so hurtful that I lost myself. And I vowed to myself that I never wanted to lead that way. I recognize that there are other ways to deliver outstanding results, and we can bring people along versus beating them down and shaming them and
Mm.
making them feel like helping them. You end up enabling them to lose their confidence. And that is not what you want to do. That's not how you drive the results that you want. You really have to do things that really encourage, inspire, empower, to make them feel like they can accomplish things that they didn't even realize that they could accomplish. But the reason I shifted inside myself is because I also experienced what it was like to be on the other side, and I remember how bad that felt.
Is that a defining moment for you?
It was definitely a defining moment. I just recognized that they weren't getting the best out of me, but what happened is I did start to lose my confidence. I had some people around me that spoke life into me and encouraged me and made me realize that I wasn't what they made me feel like. And I think from that moment on, I just changed, Chaitra. I just realized that is no way to lead and get the best results.
Lani, you walk around with such a beautiful glow around yourself. And we love it, right? Because it's a sprinkled dust around you that
Thank you.
makes people happy. And I'm so glad that you got to choose your true, authentic self to lead. All after all the success and roller coaster ride, you stepped into building a full circle leadership group. What gap did you see that organization weren't addressing?
Oh, wow. Will you allow me to tell a little bit of a story?
Sure.
So, the story I'll share with you is what I experienced my last year at Microsoft. My last year at Microsoft, as I was leading the partner sales organization for the US, and oh, let me tell you, I had been in the role for 4 years, and when I was in the role, every year I was being challenged to transform the team. They were more generalists, and I had received people who had been in various type of roles, but really didn't understand what
Mm,
it meant to have sales accountability. But we as a leadership team did the work. We did the work to transform the team, and they literally had transformed themselves from being generalists to specialists. They
mm,
really, you could see their confidence rise. They were building pipeline with our partners. You could see deals closing where they were doing it with our partners. We were just celebrating one win after the other. So I was really proud of the success we were having, and they really understood the value they brought to the organization, and they could each see themselves where they were making a difference in the business. I really felt like we had done something special, and I was preparing to transition the next year. But then I got called in. I got called in, virtually called in, to let me know that they were no longer going to invest in this part of the business. You see how you looking at me? That's how I felt. I was so disappointed. To be honest, I lost faith in the leadership team. When I went through that experience, of course, they asked me to lead the layoff, and I was able to preserve just a small team in place for the following year. But I remember going through that process. It was a bunch of names, titles, and levels. And that's how the decisions were made. No one asked the question about, did we need to do some reskilling? Are there other roles that we can put these people in? Are there things that we can do to preserve some of this talent in other parts of the business? It was about simply math on a spreadsheet to say we needed to reduce the business by a certain amount. It almost felt like the people didn't matter. Walking through that, I just got frustrated. I just really got frustrated. And I started asking myself, what am I doing? But what I also realized is there's a new generation of leaders who want to get into leadership and have stepped into leadership, and no one's given them an operating system. They're
mm.
coming in where they're seeing that companies are downsizing. They see the company is really stressed to hit the bottom line, make the performance, but no one's really talking about the people. No one's really talking about the people at all. And I believe bringing the humanity back and high performance can coexist together. And I just kept thinking about the next generation that comes behind us. Somebody has to do something to take care of them so they have the tools to guide their judgment and decision making that will allow them to always keep people at the center of what you're doing while also holding a high bar to what the accountability around drive for results look like. And I didn't see anyone out there solving that. And I said, I have enough passion and patience to be able to do that. And that's where Full Circle Leadership was born.
That is such an amazing story, and thank you for indulging in that one. Let me add you something because this is a great topic. With AI coming in, more and more journalist jobs will become specialist jobs. If you would have been there, you would have led that whole transformation with AI, right? Because everyone needs to become a specialist, otherwise they can't survive in the AI world. But also, what we are seeing is a lot of people are buying technology, but they're never thinking about the leadership transformation it requires for you to lead the agents,
Yes,
people at the
yes,
same time.
at the same time.
Lani, stay patient because everyone is coming back to helping
You
people
know,
become true leaders.
that is so true, but you're hitting on something that is so important to me. And we can talk about just that AI journey and leadership as well, because I've invested a lot of time in this. And you're right. Leaders today and preparing for tomorrow, you will have humans that you will actually lead, but you will also have these digital agents that you'll be expected
Mm,
to. And you'll have to think about how do I govern all of this, right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
so I tell people all the time that when you think about the world that we are moving to, I really believe AI is not going to necessarily expose your technology gaps, but it is definitely going to expose your leadership gaps.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm gonna definitely expose that.
Yes, and I think more and more folks are talking about it because at Davos last year, they said is we can bring as innovative technology as AI or quantum, but not having the right leadership platform is going to make this technology collapse, or the diffusion of the technology will not happen at the speed that every leader, I would say the Mag 6 leader, want to see that happen. So, with that in mind, one of the most powerful ideas of helping people lead is without title, because right now in the AI world, title really doesn't matter. So, what does it take for someone who doesn't have a title but want to influence even before they are given the authority? How should they navigate?
Wow. Well, I think the first thing that I always try to tell people that I get an opportunity to work with is when it comes down to that influence muscle that you want to exercise, you've got to step away from necessarily being the doer because sometimes we can get tunnel vision when we're always focused on task at hand and we don't lift our heads to see who are the people that we're influencing or should be influencing and the people we need to bring along with us on the journey. And
Mhm.
so when it comes to building influence, I always want people to understand who are the key stakeholders, who are the people that you're expected to work with, and what do you know about them. And this all comes back to you can leverage my framework as a part of that, the full circle leadership framework. But one of the domains that I do talk about is connection. What do you know about these people? We're expected to drive results with people, but we don't really understand who they are. We don't understand what they do. We don't understand where their strengths are. We don't understand what they're trying to accomplish, what motivates them. And you have to invest time in getting to know people. And you have to figure out what is it ultimately they're trying to drive for? What is it you're ultimately trying to drive for? And figure out how you can have connection and conversation to drive towards your shared goals. And I tell people all the time, when you don't feel like you have influence, you really do. You just need to slow down, understand who are the people that are important that you build that relationship with, invest the time in connecting with them, and also let them get to know you. Build that relationship that will then help shape how you two can work together. You two people or a group of people can work together. It really is that simple. Unfortunately, people just don't slow down long enough to do the work.
Yes.
We've gotten in this virtual world where everything's so focused on the task at hand. The part of connection with people is an afterthought if they think about it at all. And if we really want to be effective towards driving towards our shared goals, you're going to have to invest the time in getting to know people. You just have to.
Completely. You talked about your operating system. Let's double click on the operating system because
Yeah.
I think there's one called as connection. What else is in the operating system you talk about?
Yes. There's 6 domains.
Yeah.
And let me just go ahead and admit up front, this is my own personal leadership operating system that I developed because I used to have people ask me all the time, what's your secret sauce? What is it that works for you? And people thought it was just built from the success.
Mm.
Oh, but it was built from failure too. It was built from failure too. Let's just be honest. All right, so the 6 domains. The first one is around self-awareness. I just think any leader who wants to be effective, you must first be able to lead yourself. And there's
Mm.
so many things that you have to know about yourself to effectively lead people. So I'll stop there because there's a lot of pieces that go underneath that. The second one is around being a visionary. A lot of people think it's the CEO's job to create vision, but it's everybody's job who's leading people to create vision because everyone wants to see themselves in what we're driving towards. All right. The third one is connection. We've already talked about how important connection is and getting to know people at a deeper level. Here's one that people take for granted, role modeling.
Mm.
In these highly matrixed organizations that we're creating today, you need to have leaders that are going to be willing to get to know the key stakeholders across the business. They can remove obstacles. You want your leader not just talking a good game, you want them modeling what behaviors they're expecting from you as well. But more than anything, role modeling is so important as a leader because many people are watching what you do versus really listening to what you say. All
Mm.
right. The next one is accountability. You have to be able to drive accountability throughout the organization. And the last one is cultivating talent. Oh my God, that one right there was based on a failure. I think you can get so focused on yourself and
Yes.
so focused on the results that you forget the importance of really investing in people so that the organization is not dependent on one or two people or two heroes in the business to keep it going. Everyone has been empowered to do that. And you've done that through allowing them to experience different things in the business to grow that confidence to be able to lead. That's
I love that. And when you look at the operating system, Lani, where does the most emerging leaders hold themselves back?
self-awareness. I have to spend the majority of my time there because it's a mindset shift they have to go through. They also have to be willing to look themselves in the mirror and acknowledge where they have strengths and where they have gaps.
Mm,
Because a lot of times your blind spots are what hold you back. And
mhm.
until you are clear on those things, you're going to have people that tell you what you want to hear. You don't have people that tell you what you need to hear. It is so important. You can create a team of people that are in your organization that has no fear about telling you what's working in the business, but equally tell you what's not working in the business. Because to me, that is a sign of a really healthy team is when people feel comfortable doing that. So I think self-awareness is an area where I have to spend the majority of my time with them because we do a lot of assessments and stuff that really help them understand their strengths and their gaps. And many of them have blind spots and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, now how might that show up if you were leading a team? So
Exactly.
I would definitely say self-awareness.
Oh, Lani, we should be sharing notes on the self-awareness. I have called as six diseases of your attitude. I can spot them before even they can see them. I'm like, you have that particular attitude disease. There's no way you can see the success that you're looking for till you address that piece. That's so cool. As you talked about the operating system, but what does full circle really mean in practice? What does that look like when people go through it?
When leaders go through, because it's one of those things that I really feel like that all six of them have to work together, holistic, for you to really be able to create healthy, vibrant teams that really get results, right? That is the most important thing. And the reason for that is today you'll see leadership trainings where they'll focus on specific competencies. Like right now, there's a big buzz around emotional intelligence. You're going to start to hear a little bit more around leading in an AI world, and they'll pick a couple of competencies to help you there. But I'm sorry, to be effective as a leader, you're going to have to work all six
Mm,
because at different times, again, as I told you, my philosophy is you have to meet people where they are. And you never know which of those domains you may have to double click into to find a tool to help you support that situation.
mm.
So I would say full circle leadership is just a leadership operating system that's there to support leaders to be able to meet people where they are so that you bring the humanity and high performance together to deliver results. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Is there a way we can see how they show up every day if they've gone through it and they've worked on their self-awareness and they have role modeling? How do they show up differently? Because now they've
Yeah.
gone through that entire, I would say, transformation.
Absolutely. First of all, I could show them their slides and things that I've created from to state. Majority of the people that I've had a chance to work with, many of them come from environments where there's more command and control. It's more old school leadership. Or I've even come across those teams and organizations where it was more or less, I call it soft leadership, where it's all about the people and they're not getting the results. That doesn't work either,
Mhm.
right? So I think when it comes to full circle leadership framework, the biggest difference you'll see is there's always going to be a focus on understanding where people are at, and you'll see a commitment to your one-on-ones. Because how many leaders just cancel one-on-ones these days? That's valuable time with people on your team. And I think a one-on-one shouldn't be a business review.
Agreed. Completely agree.
A one-on-one needs to be your opportunity to connect with the employee. So I think you start to see those behavioral changes where there's a true commitment to who you are, what your strengths are, how to leverage it in the business, where are your gaps, aligning you to resources to help close your gap. because it's not the leader's responsibility to have strengths in all these areas, but it is your responsibility to identify where people need support and connect them to resources to help support them and make sure that they have development conversations and they have resources to support their development and that they understand what's expected of them. I'm surprised at how many people don't really understand what's expected of them. They're guessing at it.
So true.
Right.
So
So
true.
I would say a full circle leader is someone who really takes the time to really lean into the people to ensure they're getting what they need to feel fully empowered and seen in the organization and leveraging their strengths. And here's the biggest thing that they do, and they also care about results, which means when the business is not performing, you'll see them lean into the people as well. But they're leaning in differently. They're leaning in to learn what's working, what's not working. Let's do some postmortems. What is it teaching us? Where do we need to make changes? They're rolling up their sleeves to understand what's causing the delta between where we are today and where we need to be. And they're committed to providing the resources and support they need to help close that gap. Command and control, embarrass you, shame you, and just drill, drill, drill into every part of the business to make you feel like a total idiot. Where a full circle leader understands that we all have some accountability into this.
Yeah.
Your question?
No, I think that you said it well, Lani. When I was at Oracle, my first manager she really had a full circle leadership. And
Yeah,
she taught me something is the best way to connect is doing a working session with your people. It
yeah,
can be 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a review. And she showed everything so that I knew what she was going through every single day.
I love.
So it gave me a lot of empathy for her responsibility that she had and the kind of issues she deals with. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. And her name was Celia, and she was like absolutely stellar. She said, there are two types of work. One is on the business and was in the business.
In the
Not
business.
very good with the in the business, let me tell you. But on the business is where all the complexity comes in. And learn that. That means there's budgets, reviews, and people and connections, all those things needs to happen. So thanks for really double clicking on that, what full
Sure.
circle leadership really looks like.
And say, I like, you need to go send a note to Celia and thank her for leading that way because she modeled a leadership that not a lot of people have seen.
And I model that one with my teams now. That was my standard because I felt I was seen at all the time. I just felt that she cared. She really
Yeah.
cared, right? So when we think about invisible work, there's a lot of invisible work that goes behind the scene, and a
Mhm.
lot of the leaders carry that people don't often see. Where does the leaders feel the most challenging in this process?
The invisible leadership.
Yeah.
I would say, let me just speak for myself here because I think we all will be able to relate to this in some way. When it comes to invisible leadership, it's the advocacy that you're doing behind the scenes. Me in particular, I think about the invisible leadership I do right now is I am literally obsessed with my clients. And the work that goes unnoticed is the time that I spend turning over scenarios in my head, really thinking about the problems that my clients are faced with, and really trying to think about what are some resources that I have that I can share with them. In some cases, it's even create resources for them to help them through certain scenarios because I'm just so committed to the transformation of my clients. It's important to me that I don't have a transactional relationship with them. I'm really in this business to help drive a transformation, which means it comes with tough love along the way, which they say they get plenty of with me. But the love part is important. I just want to see them win because sometimes I can see them on the other side of a situation faster than they can see it themselves. So I think the invisible leadership is just the weight we carry that happens after hours. We're still thinking about problems when we're no longer on the clock. We're over here trying to figure out. I'm constantly, if I'm talking to people and I'm able to make a connection, I'm like, oh, would you mind spending a few minutes with this person? Because I think you have something they can benefit from and learn from. I think for me, that invisible leadership just comes with the responsibility of being a leader. And I think a lot of people are going to have to ask themselves, are you willing? to carry that responsibility if you say yes to leadership. Because if you say yes to leadership, then you have to understand it goes beyond just getting results.
I'm sinking in because it's so powerful what you said. So when you are talking about this kind of depth and putting intention, especially we are in such a fast hybrid changing environment, the presence and trust is very hard to build. So
Mhm.
how can really leaders strengthen that clarity and trust? Is there a framework that you recommend for people to say every week, make sure you spend 3 to 5 times that you're spending time with someone? Or is there any specific strategy you give them to your clients so they can take it and implement it?
I've never had a client ask me to date, what should I put as the requirement on people? Because I think everyone has enough on their plate and everybody's reluctant to add one more thing to their plate. But
Mhm.
I have been asked that around AI specifically, how am I going to take this team that I'm responsible for and get them to understand the seriousness behind AI and the responsibility that is connected to AI that I need them all to shift. So I have shared in scenarios like that specific things they can do. And I don't know if you want me to share. You want me to share one or two right now? Sure. So, one or two things that I tell people is the first thing you have to do is you have to help them connect the dots with a real world scenario that they can get excited about. I just did a AI hands-on lab this week. A lot of people were looking for other opportunities that were on the market. So we had someone that did a great job creating a guerrilla recruiting strategy, leveraging AI. Sharing that strategy with the group, they all got excited
Wow.
because they could see where these agents were doing the work for them while they were sleeping. And every morning they were served with a report that showed what the opportunities were out there and which ones might be a good fit for them. Getting people excited about how to use AI in a productive way is how you get them excited. And I think in the workforce, you have to make it really practical for them. And I understand starting out, it's around emails and having it create beautiful emails and maybe helping you a little bit with your PowerPoint, but you've got to really help them think differently around how to use AI. The other thing I think people need to do is role model. One of the things AI is changing every single day. There's new capabilities coming out, new tools coming out. And there's just new ways of thinking about AI that are coming out. And in order to keep up with that rapid pace of change, you have got to be intentional around setting time up, I say every day, to learn AI. I carved out 2 hours a day. Not everyone has 2 hours. Maybe it's 30 minutes for you, but you have to be intentional around carving out the time so that you are investing in your own learning journey as a leader so you can role model this behavior for your teams and you can bring scenarios and examples back to them that makes it real for them. But I believe that in order to drive the clarity that you asked about and to ensure that people are moving in the direction you want them to go, you have to do those two things. You have to make it real for them, make it clear, and you have to model the behavior and then just continue to put processes in place that allows it to continue to grow and explode. Like I created AI hands-on lab, we do them monthly now. And some people should consider doing it with their families so they can start to future-proof themselves and learn creative ways to use AI. So I said a lot, but did I answer the question?
You did, you did. What was the most fun part of learning about AI and how do you use AI, Lani?
My God, now I use it. I'm like a woman on steroids now because I invested so much time in learning. I think what was the first question? What was the most?
Yeah, what tools have you learned and how do you use AI for your own business?
Absolutely. So I decided as a solopreneur, I have a lot of contractors that I work with, decided to go AI first. So now I've decided that before I go hire someone, I need to determine if AI can do it for me. So when
Mhm.
you think about the tools that I use, Of course, I started with Copilot. Hey, who
Yeah.
wouldn't? And then I immediately moved to ChatGPT. I also love Claude. Then I also started embracing Gemini. Then I started playing with Manus. Then I started playing with Gamma. Then I also love Plod. Oh my God, I can keep going now. So you can see I love my tools. Here's what I'm starting to do. I wanted my chief of staff to help with a lot of administrivia as it relates to my clients. So I was able to create an agent for that. I am working on creating an agent for customer service. The biggest thing that I did that I'm most proud of. Oh, I also use Synthesia. Synthesia is a tool that allows me to create digital training with a digital twin.
Wow.
And I took my course that I was delivering every week, me physically, I took the content, created an AI version of me to deliver the same thing. Booyah! And no, I didn't hire anyone to do it because I felt like it was important for me to invest the time in
Yeah.
learning. And I started in HeyGen and I moved over to Synthesia. I still love HeyGen and have a membership there, but Synthesia is the platform that I landed on because it really did a beautiful job capturing all my content.
Beautiful. I love that you are AI first businesswoman. So I want to talk about your legacy.
Yes.
And you're doing some amazing work with women, and I've seen how they show up in the ecosystem. So, what do you hope full circle leadership continues to create long after you have stepped?
My hope is the legacy I hope that I can leave behind is that I wouldn't even call it a new way to lead. It's the right way to lead.
Yes.
And I want people to feel like they have a tool or a set of tools that help enable them to be able to do that. And they're not going to always get it perfect all the time, but I want to provide a set of tools that they all can leverage and be able to say, I have what I need. When I started in leadership, the book they wanted to give me was The Leadership Challenge by Kuzis. I thought, really good book, had a great framework in it, but it was still missing a lot to support me along the way. I want to be that missing piece for people. I want people to have a set of tools that can support them. Like, hey, it's time for them to do the work on self-awareness. Here are some tools that you can leverage for that. Here are questions that you need to be asking yourself. How are you thinking about giving back to yourself, right? How do you deal with stress? I want to give them tools on how to have that visionary conversation to pull people forward towards where you're trying to take them. How do you think about what questions to ask to build deeper connections with people? So I want to give them tools in each of the domains so that they feel like, wow, I have what I need. And I just go to my little toolbox and I pull what I need as I'm working on different skills. Eventually, it will become second nature.
You give a lot and you are constantly contributing, Lani. What keeps you grounded outside of work and what brings you joy or resets you? Because you're always dealing with some kind of a leadership crisis with
I am.
people like,
I am. You know what keeps me grounded is that boy of mine, Braden Phillips. Braden, educatism, and it has changed my life since I left Microsoft. And one of the things that I have reminded myself often is nothing's ever that bad, right? And he just has this beautiful way of grounding me because he finds humor in everything and he loves his mama unconditionally. And mama eat all that up, okay? But it keeps me grounded. And I would say people like you, my friends, y'all keep me grounded because I am so grateful that I have people that love me. And when I need support, I can pick up the phone and ask for support. Or if I need a soft place to fall, they can be a soft place to fall for me as well. And it has been a tough couple of years as I've transitioned out of corporate America to being a single mom, to being an entrepreneur. I think I'm finally getting a rhythm that's helping me level out a little bit. You're going to see me start to take on a lot more as a result. But it was one of those things where I had to transition, but the anchor was Brayden because I could not let him get lost in the midst of the crazy. And he makes sure that I don't get lost.
Oh, that is such a beautiful story. And also having kids who keep you grounded is
Yeah.
such a blessing, Lani. That's exactly how I keep myself grounded. They bring me joy. Anytime I'm down, they'll say, Mom, let's go for a coffee and let's go have fun.
That awesome. Yeah, mine, the fun. See, today's Friday, right? So,
Yeah.
what did I say? The biggest decision I made, what I was going to do after this conversation. It's Fun Day Friday in my house.
Oh, that's good. Are you going and watching Devil's Wear Prada too?
Baby, that is where I'm going.
I'm doing the same thing too.
I'm going to see it. Yes, today.
Yes, yes. So before we close, Lani, I want to pause. First, just thank you for enlightening with the full circle leadership. You talked about your journey, you talked about your framework, and also the future of leadership. What's one question you wished I had asked you today, but I didn't?
Mm. What's my one hope for the future? My one hope for the future is that we remember at the end of this, it's all about the people. Slow down, take the time, invest in relationships, invest in really getting to know people. And in the workplace, I really want to see people really go back to understanding people's strengths, leverage their strengths. Let's not try to magnify people's weaknesses all the time, but leverage their strengths. And where they have gaps that are getting in their way, align them to resources to help close the gap. And let's reconsider reskilling people instead of just eliminating people. Think about where we can reskill and use people in other parts of the business because you've already invested so much in the talent. That's
Mhm.
my hope for the future is that people just will go back to remembering people really do matter in the business. You can't get the results without them.
Lani, as you were saying that, I got goosebumps and chills
Mhm.
today. It is
Mhm.
just so profound. I think in the world of AI, people are not cared for. And I'm hoping exactly like you, is we should care about people before the tools and the technology and the infrastructure. So thanks for grounding us in there.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
coaching.
Yeah, since this is about iconic leadership and you're a true icon, when you think about iconic leadership, what defines it for you, Lani?
The iconic leaders, when I think about them, I think about people who have so much humility because it's so much about others. It's
Mhm.
about empowering others and inspiring others to be the best version of themselves. At the end of the day, they have this way of maneuvering the world where it's not about them, it's about others. And so it's about that selfless act of just really wanting to help empower others and help others be the very best version of themselves on behalf of the business, on behalf of who they are as people and what they can contribute to the world. But that's what iconic leadership looks like and means to me.
You said it so well, and that's exactly what iconic leadership means. And before we close, where can our listeners connect with you or support your work?
Absolutely. I would love it if they would go to my website, fullcircleleadershipgroup.com. They can connect with me directly out there, and that'll keep it simple. I'm on social under Miss Lani Phillips, MSLANI Phillips. So I would love for anybody to reach out to me, and I will respond to every message.
Again, Lani, thank you so much. For all the listeners, if today's conversation resonated, please make sure to subscribe to Iconic Leadership Podcast. You can also explore the Iconic Leadership Assessment, watch the movie Icons, and join the wait list for our upcoming Iconic Leadership book. And if this episode added value, can you do me a quick favor? Take a screenshot of me and Lani and share it online. That's how we know it's landed. And it also helps us create more conversation like this for you. And if someone in your life could benefit from hearing this, someone who's at a turning point, building a business, or needs this message, this is the episode you want to send to them. And one last thing before you go, as a thank you for listening, we have a special gift for you. The first 10 listeners will be entered into a prize drawing to receive a free copy of the Iconic Leadership book during the launch week. I am Chaitra Vedalapalli. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, when we lead with purpose, we unlock prosperity for everyone. Thank you.